Welcome back to the Atlanta Major, Day 2 of Phase 2 underway, and no shortage of surprises. The biggest upset of the tournament, Copenhagen Major champions W7m losing to GK. Today they take on SSG, who lost yesterday to BDS. Can either of them pull out a win today? We shall see. I'm Jackie Jing with Fresh and Laxine. And honestly, I think a lot of people talking about W7m's loss, it really reminds everyone that they're not invincible and anything can happen in Siege, right, Gabe?
Yeah, and I actually spoke with W7m's coach about why they had lost yesterday specifically, and what I was told is the communication on their defense wasn't as strong as they wanted it to be, and they also did give GK a lot of benefit of the doubt of saying that they did cancel them on those trade games, whereas before, like, that's what W7m really focuses on heavy, is that trade game, and GK shut that down.
I think especially for the Phase 2 teams that came in and it was their first game yesterday and they took a loss, I'm willing, I'm a very reasonable guy. Yeah. I'm very willing to say, hey, this is just, the first game, getting warmed up into the tournament. And if it is just a case that communication wasn't on point, made a few mistakes, that was the difference, then I'll take W7m on face value with that one.
For sure.
I got to chat with Ashen. Lovely. I do think that a lot of people are watching Ashen. There's a lot of eyes on him. I think might be targeted possibly. Will the rest of the team be able to compensate if that's the case?
I mean, yeah, they should. I mean, you shouldn't rely on your new player to be the star player. If he does end up being so, great, awesome. But that still leaves the 4 other players that need to be stepping up, need to be giving a reason why they picked this rookie and also teaching him the ways. So again, you just can't put everything on Ashen. And also to Ashen's credit, you want all eyes on you. It gives you way more opportunity, gives you to really showcase your talent, and then also playing with the roster that he is, that alone gives him a lot of reason and a lot of potential.
Yeah, I'm looking over my right shoulder here and I'm seeing some of NA's best players. I'm seeing world champions. If the new Wonder Kid is targeted, they definitely should have enough. And especially with their play style, it's very all at once. It's very gung ho. Yeah. So you would imagine that they would still have enough, even if he does get targeted.
Okay, so do you think that SSG will be able to pick up the slack though, if they are not able to perform? If Ashen's not able to perform?
Yeah, I think so. I think they got it wrong yesterday. I think for the most part when they played yesterday, I think they got the wrong approach in terms of their map bans. I think they got the wrong approach in terms of the game strategy and trying to counter BDS. I just wanted to see SSG play their style, the kind of iconic brand of SSG that we know and love, and we've seen them play and try and implement. I want to see them go back to that and just trust their own gameplay and don't worry too much about what their opponents are doing, at least before the game starts.
For sure, and I love that you touched up on that they did try to play that counter game against BDS, because I did actually talk to Call Out and ask him, what were the problems in that Skyscraper game, and he said that, they had the prep, they had the idea, the vision that they wanted to, but they got thrown off how BDS actually played and they sped up their pace. So going in today, he said that's going to completely change. They're going to speed up their pace from the slow pace that they had against BDS.
Because we've both been there before as well, where you've done counter prep on a team and you get in the server. I've never actually been in the server, you have, but as a coach,
it's easy to see.
Yeah, and you just get in the game and these guys are doing nothing that we expected, and you get a bit head lost, and that's what can happen.
Definitely.
And that's why I want to see them go back to their roots.
Okay, we got to talk about W7m a little bit, and I think the big question is, how do they bounce back now? What are they mentally telling themselves?
Well, like I said, their coach said it was the communication errors were the biggest thing here, and that's where he said they're going to heavily focus into this. And then, what me and Fresh have said, with these teams that have lost, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. It is their first loss. They do have more chances, but that if you keep that trend of not improving, that's where the issues are. So again, I have no doubt, and I'll take at face value what the coach has said, that they're going to fix that communication, they're going to fix that trade game, and play the W7m that we all know and love.
And Clubhouse yesterday played a huge part of that, right? Because if your communication's off, what's probably the worst map to be on? I would say Clubhouse. Because it forces you to play so much as a team, and in terms of default Siege, there's very little individualism that you can have on that map. So again, we'll take it at face value. There was on a tough map that would really expose that flaw if that was their one, kind of mistake that they felt cost them.
And that's the problem with those default maps, is you can't really pull out a lot out of your hat. Regardless of all regions playing it differently, it's still ultimately the same map, so you aren't going to do anything that's going to throw a lot of people off. You need the communication to be there, and if it's not there, that is the result that you're going to see. You're not going to see that success.
And speaking about maps, we are ready to move into the map selection process. We are bringing up the map ban info up on the screen. Okay, that reaction.
So we're in a very weird situation where SSG and W7m are going to Clubhouse, and we would normally say these are two of the best teams in the world. However, SSG went very close with Bliss, only just beating them 8-7. and W7m lost it yesterday up against GK. So it's a map both teams are comfortable on, but have, you know, had very, very close or losses in recent history.
I mean, how I see this map being played with how both teams said that they're going to be fixing what they need to be fixed, this is going to be an in-your-face sort of game. It's going to be a lot of trades. It's going to be a lot of gunfights. It's going to be a lot of trash talk. Even before this even started, before we were even talking, they were chirping at each other. So I have no doubt between these rounds, you're going to hear a lot of chirping.
All right, well, let's get to predictions. And we have a little bit of time, so we can deep dive here.
Oh.
What? Your face is making me nervous.
I wasn't expecting a prediction.
Neither was I.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I always ask predictions. Be ready.
I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Look, so the strengths that I have for W7m, and I'm going to choose W7m, the strengths that I have is their communication, coordination, and execution.
Okay.
We see them almost in rounds sometimes when they're on really hot form. We see them kind of toy with teams because they've got the patience and then the communication to go not even 3-1, just split second and they go. Now that got shown up on Clubhouse yesterday, and they're aware of that. The fact they're aware of that is giving me confidence they will have fixed that. So I'm going to say, because of the map and because they're saying they're aware of that issue, I'm going to go with W7m.
Okay.
All right, I just gotta say this. I'm not an NA hater.
I was convincing
guys.
myself, by the way.
Right. And also, you saying that making all the points is like making me like it makes me feel a little better about what I'm about to say. But I'm not an NA hater, but I do have to go with W7m. I do believe that they are going to fix those mistakes. Not to say that SSG isn't going to fix their mistakes either. I think it's still going to be a relatively close game, but I am going to have to say W7m does run away with this.
Okay, both locking it in for W7m. All right, well, we are ready to get this one started. Our teams are ready and in place, so I'm going to hand it over to the lovely duo, Des and Ace. That kind of rhymed.
That was good. Did it? The
lovely duo,
Des and Ace.
Jackie, stick to hosting. Don't write poetry. That's my best advice for you that I can possibly give to you today, my love.
Maybe she said something before.
Did she?
Maybe it was a sentence before.
Maybe. But at that point, you're kind of extending it a bit far, and I don't know. It's like when people write like a massive poem and it's about 20 lines long and only the first and last line actually
She must have ended the last sentence with like place or face or something.
It's definitely didn't say
I'm
it
trying,
like that, did
Jackie,
she?
I'm trying.
He's trying to save you. I'm just like, just don't write poetry. What a game we got coming up between us, though. This one is going to be a good one club. Again, it seems to be the fortress of W7m that everyone keeps talking about. The truth is, for both of these teams, it's their second highest rated map in terms of map preference. So with how things stack up, this could be a real slog. And I don't think anyone can get away from SSG being the SSG Rome innovators, the ones who brought that strategy to the fore all those years ago. Very different team, but still a lot of story on this map. Really hard to call which way it goes. I'm excited to see how it boils down, Tim.
Yeah, 100%.
Are you still thinking about that poetry?
I was just trying to wrap my head around the rhyme. We know how good W7m have been in the past, like you said. For me, this is two teams that have been great on Clubhouse. Now I want to see if one of them still is. You know, W7m got beaten yesterday, I believe it was, on Clubhouse, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, I think it was yesterday. There's been a lot of siege in a short space of time.
Prior what Jackie said you remember yesterday,
Very confusing. But yeah, you know, I want to see which one is still great, if either. Capitao will be our first ban, so makes perfect sense. SSG just trying to keep that catwalk safe.
I'll tell you what, Herds is already in the chat giving a bit of beef. Good luck, you'll need it.
You'll need it.
Who are you? Alamau, is this what all the Brazilian players are doing in this competition?
Yeah.
He's saying you good luck, you'll need it.
He had me in the first half, I'm not going to lie.
All right, Capitao, DKB taken away. We spoke about DKB an awful lot across the first few days of this competition. Banned seemingly every single game, and whenever it wasn't, it was picked almost every single attacking round. In fact, I'd love, Fresh, if you're listening, I'd love to hear the presence percentage for DKB. So, a combination of rounds banned and rounds picked when available. What does that currently look like? Last two bans, Valk and the Bandit. Bandit, an interesting one coming out here. Will deny away some of that tricking option that teams like to employ when trying to keep Church Wall electrified, CC Wall electrified, Jacuzzi Wall electrified, or even Single Construction Wall electrified. Time will tell how the teams adapt to that one. It's SSG starting on the defense and W7m on the attack. Nice, thanks.
Looks like a fish of some sort.
What on earth is that?
I love that this is turning into like the sort of fishing major. We just seem to have fish cropping up everywhere.
It was Bleed, wasn't it, with the massive fish that they found on the base shop.
Now we've got pictures of fish.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we just need maybe a little content piece.
I love it. You know what I love? I love that our analyst desk is actually in the middle of all the players. If you go and look around the side of it,
I do like that.
It's like a corridor, and down either side of the corridor, there's like 2 sets of like tables, and there's 2 sets of tables where different teams play. 4 teams at once. You can have 2 setting up and 2 playing, but it just feels like you're walking onto like a workshop floor where all the chaos is going off. You get mad stuff like fish being dragged in there, a halftime shows getting set up while a team's doing their pre-game talk. It's absolutely delightful. It really feels like Siege is alive while she stood out there. But Tim, we're into our first round. Here we go. Instead, SSG starting off on the defensive side, and Forest is feeling a little bit cheeky up against Adam Window here, daring someone to get close to start that rappel sound, and fair chances you will see him out of this window in no time at all.
More than likely. Bandit ban came in as well. Second time that we've seen a Bandit ban here at the Major. Obviously, again, just playing into more than likely towards that CCTV and the gym bedroom side. Forest has a little luck, but not.
JB was ready for him.
Defending downstairs. SSG fairly set down towards getting across that clearance. SSG fairly set down towards side.
Got it.
There we go.
Do that
Words are hard. Words are hard. And W7m are recognising that. They're getting themselves inside of the map quickly. Within a minute, they're already peppering them from above.
That is pain. Ouch. I mean, there were 3 of them stacked up around Adam initially when we had Forest looking at getting out that window just to make sure there was apt support. But with that now over and done with, it is for the attackers just to get themselves fully set up on clearing out the entirety of this kitchen hall, getting all the vertical angles they need, and starting to think about what an execute may look like. They've got plenty of hard breach to play with here, not just in the back pocket of the Ying, but also in the form of the Thermite and the Excaros of the Hibana. So all these hatches should be opened up, and any walls they want opened up, pretty much guaranteed to be just that, Tim. Starting with the tunnel being opened up by Nate.
Yeah, Nate's going to give that that option. If the defenders know that dirt's open, it obviously becomes a little bit of a focal point as well, which they will, because Forest is right on the breach. I tell you what, though, I'll bet that W7m aren't ready for this. If Forest can just bide his time and be patient here, there's a real opportunity for him to potentially spring a little bit of a trap here. He's just going to wait and wait, and to be honest with you, for the time being, he can wait there. They don't really need him back inside of sight. They've got 4 others down there, and until that final blood path, it's not the end of the world. And even if Forest is still out at the top of dirt, he can just run his way back on into sight. So he may well just stick at that one for a while. He's still there as I speak.
Well, here we go, charging straight in as well.
However,
Candelas came out, and that was the charge on in, and Nade fully capitalising on the chaos off the Candelas, coming on through as found 2. KZ's found 1 as well, but Hot and Cold is shutting things up at the other end of the map. Not that it matters, because KZ has then walked to 2K to close things out. Pretty cozy first round. I mean, I can't even hear myself think over that screaming, Tim, but I imagine this game is going to be full of a lot of that, to be honest with you.
High energy, I think you'd call it.
Yeah, that's one way of describing it.
Yeah,
what a neutral way of putting it.
High energy game. Yeah, I mean, I like what Forest was doing. There was no problem with him being up there. At the end of the day, the W7m just rushed in from bar hatch, just dropped straight in. Boom, Nade gets a double kill. There's nothing really that you can do about that. It's just one of those gunfights that you've got to win, really. So SSG trying to turtle up on site. I think it just gave W7m a little bit of too much freedom. So this time from SSG, and in future rounds, I'd like to see them maybe just with a little bit more presence out there in the map, because W7m obviously recognising where that space is available very, very quickly and taking advantage of it. So the more that SSG sit in sight, I think the more quickly W7m will work, the quicker the pressure will build, the more they'll get themselves into those positions to isolate people and take gunfights. So for me, SSG have a couple of players out there in the map, force W7m to clear a little bit, and just make sure that you burn in a bit more of that time, because I think W7m certainly thrived with how much time they had available. Yeah,
it felt like a bit of a dry run for them in a sense. We've got our strat, we know how you want to approach this attack, let's go and execute it, and with SSG being relatively static downstairs, felt a little bit too easy for the Brazilians to get their march on. Well, now we're up to Cash and CC, so the other end of the map entirely. I'm looking on this attack inside, Tim. One, I'm seeing the Monty, already a bit of a headache towards Catwalk, but maybe even more importantly is the Lion and the Grim combo. In the game earlier on, we had things like the Grim joined up with the Lion, joined up with the Dakabi, that just made life absolute hell for the defenders. So even having 2 of those 3 in combo here, going to make things really difficult if SSG do choose to try and get out around the map, or to anchor on site. If you sit still, then Bs are going to detect you anyway. The only way I can really put this, Tim, is you are screwed. Yeah,
Forest is out and about a little bit, out in logistics at the minute, so that's something W7m have to be aware of, joined by Fultz as well, who is going to pick up that opener onto JV92 as he tries to come in through the wall. I'm also interested to keep an eye on Catwalk. Nade is pretty much abandoning it at the minute by the looks of it. That's why you bring them on, is to try and pressure Catwalk. But let's not forget, SSG banned out Capitao, so it makes it difficult to clear out that Catwalk. What do you bring instead? They don't have any nades on site, so how exactly do you clear those two operators from Catwalk? And at the minute, it looks like W7m don't have an answer. They do, however, have an answer to Forest.
I like this when you know you've been given so much time and around, and you're quite a quick team anyway. You can move this Monty in from the west side. It's very rare that we see this. Ashen did not expect tough Philippox charging in behind him from Secret there, but he's managed to get away with it. A bit of ring around the roses, I'm afraid. Will say though, Tim, look to your top right corner of the screen. Drone-wise, only 2 halfway through the round remain standing for W7m. They have put a lot of effort into trying to get this west side of the map. This Monty is going to be critical to keep alive, because he will be their primary source of information as they line up for an execute inside of Cash and CC.
I like that SSG are using this hold against W7m, so there you go. That's exactly what I was about to talk about. J9O steps out and manages to get a nice kill through the soft wall there of construction. The first time that I ever saw that setup with construction wall being opened was actually done inside of the LATAM region. We're talking back to about 2021 from memory. I think I'm right in saying it was Julio and NIP that I first saw using it, and you just basically open up that construction wall rather than reinforcing, and you get a line of sight all the way across the bedroom. J9O has just played that position absolutely beautifully. I mentioned Julio because it was usually his position in behind that bomb chassis, peeking through the long angle into bedroom, stepping out into construction, and J9O has just done it absolutely beautifully. SSG using what pretty sure memory serves me right, was something I saw first crop up in LATAM against the LATAM team and making it pay dividends. Really well played, SSG.
Absolutely beautiful. Just very calm and collected, at least in that round. J9O in particular, the one that I'm looking at when I make that statement. Happy to just spin on his heels a little bit and collect kills across the map. At long range, at short range, it didn't really seem to matter. Wasn't really phased by seemingly anything. There's the one literally steps one step to his right-hand side and gets one. Pokes one out and towards the window and then gets out of dodge, starts looking back in towards construction and swings in for another. All too easy for him there, meaning his team really had a bit of a round off, to be completely honest with you, Tim. Gives us a one-on-one, a very dominant first round coming out from W7m, a very dominant one in the second one from J9O in particular. Now I'm going to head back down to that basement again and try and make this one stick for the defenders this time around.
Yeah, it was great. Great for J9O. Really commanded that area, and that's what you're looking for on defence. You know, you're looking for players to sort of have those areas where they can just be like, look, I've got this on lock. You guys worry about everything else. You know, and when you get that within a team like SSG, no doubt, with J9O there, they can focus on everything else. They can think about the catwalk. They can think about the cash wall. They can think about everything else that they need to. So, round 3. Here we go. Ashen is out on the roam this time. So, Church and Arsenal was where I said last time around that W7m would given a little bit too much, maybe respect, maybe just time, but SSG didn't play out into the map. They turtled up on site and it just really didn't work for them. W7m had far too much time to get on the drones, spot the space, drop down the hatch and just charge on into site and start getting kills. So for me, SSG need to create them some more problems. They need to give them something else to think about.
On the mark begins. But again, knowing how quick W7m have been, as you say, it's a case I want to try and match them, but the oppression they bring is when you start trying to roam against them, unless you're willing to stack at 2-3 players out on a roam against them, they will very happily close you down with Herds, for example, or have someone just drive by Ferrari peek you like, I don't know, probably Herds in this case, or KZ, and just absolutely dome you wherever you may stand. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of situation for them. It's probably the fear for SSG. So trying to get smart about their defense is going to be a big part of winning this round. But here we are, what, 75 seconds in? Got our hatch opened up inside the kitchen. Already got a lot of the work done in opening up kitchen hallway as well. It's going well for W7m.
JV92 just needing to be cautious there. Fultz was watching that spot, but he's not going to get the angle that he needs. However, he will find a down and the Toxic Babe canister, and I believe that has come from Dirt Tunnel onto kitchen window. Absolutely beautiful play from Fultz. I don't know if JV92 had maybe moved to relocate to Dirt or something, but one way or another, Fultz gets it done. Yes, he had, so he was just moving away from kitchen. Fultz was there ready. The position that Forest played last time around, and I commented that, you know, there's no problem playing that aggressive up Dirt Tunnel. tunnel. You can just hold on to that position for a while. It looks like W7m are going to be going for the same that they did last time, which is the drop of bar hatch and straight into sight. Nice drop as well. They were relying so much on the Fenrir Dreadmine that with it being disabled by that EMP, well, look at what's happened. It's caught them out entirely. Candelas can now rain on through. They need to get rid, really, of the Fenrir gadget, though, at the same time. They have just left it there disabled. Only last 9 seconds with those micro EMPs. Hurts in for 1, not quite in for a second, but it's still a big numbers advantage for W7m, Tim. 39 seconds left to go. Ashen needs to find this kill, and will do. Keys gets put down, and it manages to find the trade, though. 1 versus 1 as J9. Oh, cannot pick up the last. And W7m managed to close things out. Big finish. Church and Arsenal certainly not proving to be SSG's sight. I think they'll probably head up to the top floor again next time around. Imagine so, yes. They look very comfortable attacking downstairs. I think they're just giving them too much time. Like I say, yes, Fultz got that opening kill, but again, SSG didn't play out into the map, and W7m just had plenty of time to stack up and say, right, yep, we've got the drones, we've got the info, this is where we're going to go, and there's just, they're not forcing them to think about enough. Like, W7m aren't worrying, for example, about a flank. They just stood in bar waiting to drop that hatch, 3 of them, for 20 seconds. No concern that they're going to get flanked from upstairs, no concern that there's anybody else in the map that can do anything to them. So, yeah, for that bottom floor, SSG, I think, just needs to pay attention to everywhere else as well. I think really, it reminds me a lot of BDS from 2 years ago, when BDS used to be the sort of team that would be executing on site downstairs with 70 seconds still left on the clock. Is they'd be so quick at getting themselves in position around hatches to go for an execute and not really having to deal with any roamers around the map. I'd be like, right, well, we haven't got to wait another like 30 seconds. Why don't we just go now? And if things go awry, then we've got a whole minute to course correct and figure something out. And it feels the same watching W7m here, is they're being so quick and effective about clearing a map that SSG is largely giving up for free that it's really hard to see much more coming back for them. I think this round will be a bit of a teller as well with the extended hold out towards Cash and CC that we so often see. There's a few lines of defense here that SSG have drawn up. You've got a mirror window inside logistics looking down through all into construction. You've got an actual shield on the south side of construction watching up towards the north side, the single VIP wall, the cash exit, for example, and they've got an extended hold set up. There's 2 or 3 lines here that SSG can fall back to, but it does mean getting aggressive to start with, and this could be the kind of aggression I'm talking about, assuming Ashen can find someone. Not looking good for him at the minute as players have repositioned, and it's going to be a bit of a risk standing underneath this. Herds has already got the angle. Ashen does manage to move away, but not too far. It's such a gamble of a play. I'm not going to criticise it. You know, sometimes you've got to take those risks and give it a go. If Ashen gets a kill there, we're saying how fantastic it is. You know, but realistically, what you're hoping for is basically somebody stood in exactly the right place for you. And when they're not, and you've got to move away, you're moving into that line of sight, and he gets punished for it. But to be fair, SSG, they don't come away too badly. They're still a man up at 4 versus 3. Not the end of the world, I think. Like you say, if he gets that kill, he's a hero. If he fails it, then it looks a bit silly, but at least he's trying, and that's you got to give it a go. Absolutely. And that one was out towards main breach as well. As you can see, the blood splattered across the table. And as I said, there are still these lines of defense that they can work with here, and really it's about anyone who's out on the roam, i.e. Fultz, now starting to look to strike anyone playing below. Felipox may well be that identified target that they want to hunt down. JV92 going to open up the soft garage wall and move in. I don't think that they're aware of Fultz's position. Now then, if his teammates can create a little noise potentially, he might be able to clear out these track stingers without giving too much away. Felipox is just going to double down on that, which is going to make their life a lot more difficult. But he's certainly thinking about how far he can push up here, and I don't think they're aware whatsoever. If he goes for this peak, Felipox will get picked up, but he manages to scurry away to safety through stock. But the bigger problem is that they still have a Solis potentially on their flank without really being able to lock him down at the minute. A real example there of how the gridlock gadget is just so valuable. For those of you aren't aware, why is there so much gridlock? It's because we've now got nades, but that gadget has also had some buffs over the last year or so, to a point it's now pretty ridiculous. And Felipox down below making good use of those frag grenades that we spoke about to do some work. So really stopping them maybe once here. Hold shots first. I was going to say really good at stopping these roamers from doing anything, but they've done just that. Last one left standing now. It's JV92 trying to push into both Fultz and Hot and Cold. For now, at least the site only
only has one person on it because we had Fultz retreating back up the main stairs towards site. And JV's using that to make quite an aggressive move here. He's got himself a 3K, but only 10 seconds to go, and he's got the diffuser in back pocket.
It's just going to be that ring around the roses as Fultz tries to keep himself out of the line of sight for as long as possible. Catches JV in no man's land in the middle of bedroom there as he rotates himself into Jim. Beautiful use of the rotation. Fultz has had a big round for SSG there. Not only does he pick up the kill when moving back from the roam up main stairs, which was really well done, kept himself off the radar. You know, how many players would have been tempted to go for Philippox in Lounge and just maybe push through those track stingers and have a go or shoot a couple of them out and just think that they could move quicker and shoot better? But no, he just bided his time, just waited for what he knew would be a better opportunity coming, and keeping himself alive late into the round proved to pay dividends for Fultz. Really well played. SSG level things up. It's 2-2.
They do. Almost in March this time around. It's going to be down in that basement once again. Clearly the go-to sites here wherever available. My only real concern here for SSG is this is the only site that they find themselves falling short on. Everything else they've done pretty well on. Maybe they're out of options at this point, having played those sites and thinking, well, we've got to make basement work at some point here. It's essentially their offsite, if you want to look at it that way. W7m probably feeling quite confident knowing coming into it. They've won it twice so far in this half. Really, the onus turns to SSG to be the ones that have to change something. And Tim, given the lineup in this round, I'd say they are definitely trying that with the Azami, the Alibi, the Solus. They do want to get out around the map. They do want to cause a little bit of trouble. But like I mentioned earlier on, there's every opportunity for W7m to really just hunt them down and isolate these roamers. Given how quick they are at moving through the map, it's not going to be the end of the world if they have to take 60 seconds to go and kill a roamer or two.
Probably not, but it'll be interesting at least to see if what I've been asking for a couple of rounds ends up paying off or not. We'll see whether SSG managed to get it done this time. Hotton's just waiting down in the oil pit there, Nitro in hand, ripped and ready so he doesn't give it away with an audio cue. Ashen it will be to kick things off though, and look at that, Des. He's out in the map and he finds himself a kill, managing to put at least the best foot forward for SSG here, taking nade off the board, and it's the Thermite. They've still got the Hibana and the Ace, plenty of hard breach utility for them to use, but they've yet to deal with Ashen, and we're nearly a minute in. This is well played so far from SSG.
Well, are they going to pinch him? There's a Lion working in from one side. We've also got the Hibana looking in to join here as well, so Ashen should be dead to rights, and sure enough, KZ finds him. They make it a 1-for-1. He's still done a good bit of damage though. He got rid of the Thermite. There's the hard breach being taken offline. Not really the end of the world for this side because you've got the Hibana on side. She's the queen of hatches. Her job is to get open these 3 hatches that you sorely need opened up. Jane, I know, with a wonderful shot onto KZ at further distance, mind you. And it's, again, not the end of the world with the operators they're finding. I'm pretty sure all the EE1Ds were down, but it's still a gun that is being taken away from W7m, so they don't have this flooding execute that we saw the last 2 times we were on this site.
Yeah, it's much better, and as I say, by getting out in the map, SSG have given them a headache. They've given them more to think about. They've wasted half of the round, they've taken 2 bodies with them, and all of a sudden, W7m cannot play their primary game plan for attacking this site. It's not to say they won't go on and win it. They're trying to open up long angles, they're adapting, they're using plan B, they're going to hassle Church Wall instead. They've got other ideas, but right now, they're not paying off as Fultz manages to find a headshot onto Philippox. SSG now in a 4v2 can sort of just sit back and wait for W7m to make a move.
Just keep on catching them out one at a time here as well. Now JV's all alone pushing down. It's these Kiva barriers all round have been such a headache. That he's managed to drag one back over. Oh, what a shot at range from JV. Sees the literal clip of Fultz's head and gets his man. JV's down to his lasso at this point. Got 2 to try and find down. And again, those keeper barriers are just getting in the way. Flashes them out a little bit deeper on. Can't quite find his man. There's one inside blue, one actually still waiting inside of Church here. With 30 seconds to play, Tim, it's not looking too good.
No, not at all. Hotton and J9 just need to hold on in these positions. They know that there's no real way for JV92 to be able to rotate here and take a different angle, but they're going to keep peeking out, and he's going to punish them. Beautiful headshot. Can he complete this 1v2? He's going to get the diffuser in hand. 10 seconds left to go. He sees the movement. He knows exactly where they're going. JV92 is going to try and get the diffuser down here. J9 just looks for the angle around. Don't get too aggressive, but he does! And JV somehow comes away with a 1v2. And I think the celebration says it all. W7m winning a round that they had absolutely no right to get anywhere near.
That's going to be a kicker for SSG. They were in such a commanding position, Tim. and they've still managed to let it go. I did really want to come out at the end of this round talking about their use of keeper barriers in that round being really impressive, but JV has stole the show. But to come onto those keeper barriers, you saw a couple of times that once they dropped back through doorways, they were placing them quite high up on the wall, so it was kind of like, well, someone could probably crouch underneath this. And the goal around bottom of main stairs, for example, wasn't to stop someone getting through. It's so that when he steps across to round out the widest part of this keeper barrier, you see his legs first, and you have probably a good 4 or 5 shots that you can get off at the attacking player's feet before they've got anywhere near being able to take a shot back at you. So they were really smart uses, I think, out of J9O in general. But as we always say, Tim, as much as this is a wonderful game of tactics and strategy, at its heart, Siege is still an FPS, and JV has just absolutely domed SSG.
I think JV had plenty of information coming in from his teammates as well there. On the replay, it was clear to see the red ping in behind the keeper barricade, but then there was a yellow ping that came up to the right-hand side, and I think that was the bit of information that JV needed really to say, this is the way that he's going to swing you. J9O, it's always a difficult situation. You sort of look at it and, you know, it's easy to sit here and say, well, you know, it's 5 seconds left to go, he just needs to play on the diffuser. But at that point, if that diffuser goes down, you're in a 1v1 gunfight, and J9O was just trying to give himself that little bit of an advantage and maybe catch JV92 without the gun in his hand and without the ability to challenge. But either way, W7m come away with a nice round for them. It looked against them all the way. 3-2, they're going to be looking for a 4-2 attacking half.
Casey's got the right idea. There is someone sat on catwalk waiting and not quite holding the angle, but being willing to challenge it. Like J9O literally a matter of pixels away from taking this gunfight, and the yellow ping is there. Maybe there's a default cam still up. Not that they care. Going to keep a barrier in that window and just get it locked off.
Just going to open up with the upside down rappel. Does leave a little vault at the bottom. That's one thing to consider when you're thinking about opening those reinforcements up. We're going to have Nade take down J9O with a pistol kill to kick things off. SSG, I'm a little bit concerned, might be on a slippery slope here as W7m just seem to be taking it up a gear, just gaining a little bit of momentum. Forest is playing that position that J9O was in and played so skillfully previously. Nitro is going to stick, and that's unfortunate. Reinforcement does catch that explosive, and that's going to be some wasted utility.
Well, still with the Grim on side and looking towards that alongside, I was going to say the last E1D and what they can force with this, but that E1D ringing out and not really giving anything on the side of W7m to gain, to be honest. If nothing else, Fultz is still left here. And this is why comboing these two gadgets together can be so powerful. All getting them working alongside drones, but as we're seeing yet again, W7m's drone count is just whittled down so aggressively by the side of SSG that they are having to go in blind in a couple of cases. That's where things like the Lion and the Grim stacking up can be so effective. And as much as they're trying to force this player off catwalk, SSG are capitalizing big time. They're down to just one more. It's going to be a 3-3 half, Tim.
Fultz has had a fantastic round there. Once again, it's exactly the same as I've said for him previously on the Solis. Get Fultz out in the map on the Solis, and he generally has a very good time of it, and those have been the rounds where SSG have been better. Finish the half 3-3, not the end of the world for either side. I feel like W7m, if anything, may have felt like they could go better than that. Attack on Clubhouse isn't always the end of the world, so it could be a good start for SSG.
It very well could be. Well, we've got Mango on the line, assistant coach for SSG. Mango, thank you very much for joining us for this brief amount of time. Quick question for you. It feels like a big bet coming into W7m's Fortress map in the form of Clubhouse. Obviously, you guys are good on it as well, but what was the thought process in taking them to such a key map in their arsenal?
You know, we really just looking at the map pool, considering some of the other maps, it was kind of a pick or poison moment, and we felt really good on Clubhouse compared to some of the other maps, and we feel pretty strong on it ourselves, so we weren't really too swayed by the fact that they're also good at it. Knew it was going to be a slugfest either way, so pretty confident regardless.
Mango, we've just seen a couple of rounds there where W7m flexing the mechanical skills a little bit. How much can that impact the team round to round? Do you just sort of brush it off when you lose a round like that to JV92, or does it hurt a bit more than that?
You know, I mean, we could have definitely played that 3v1 definitely a bit better, but, you know, at the end of the day, we just say good, move on to the next round, and take it step by step.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Mango. Really appreciate you tuning in for a few. Catch you next time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Tim, onwards in March then, basement where things are going to kick off in this second half then. SSG onto the attacking side, and as you heard there a second ago, it's kind of a picky poison, and I remember speaking to Fresh about this a few days ago, and for W7m, their map pool just keeps on getting wider and wider. You know, 5 or 6 maps they claim to be extremely proficient at these days. What do you do when they can ban away most of them?
This is it, and you know, that's the reason Herds just comes in and picks up hot and cold there to kick things off for W7m.
JV's just so like, yeah, you guys just drop the ceiling above me, you drop through. I'm going to keep watching this window, not even budging an inch.
Nope. And this is why I ask about the mechanical skill side of things from W7m. You know, it always fascinates me how much of an impact does that have. You know, there's plenty of skill on the side of SSG, of course, but when you're going to get yourself into those positions and you're winning in a round and it just gets spun on its head because, well, JV92, it's kind of like playing against Shaiko or any of these other, like, really high skill players when it comes to the aim. It must just be so, you know, taxing over an entire game for a team to get into those winning positions and then boop, kill, and the round's over, and there's just seemingly little that you can do about it sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, here we're getting SSG getting to work on the kitchen hallway. Opening up, as we always see, restricting the ability for defenders to move around through long or through short or through pipes and long, whatever you want to call it. And the same sort of story inside a kitchen to stop them playing in back arsenal. So very much trying to force the defenders over towards the east side of the downstairs, which opens up things like a moto drop, a kitchen hatch drop, or pushing down main stairs, or potentially all of those things, including a backstab from oil or blue. So keep a close eye on where it is that SSG start gathering up. Right now, you've got 2 or 3 players around bar and kitchen hallway, because again, they're trying to force these defenders away from the west side of the ground floor, or the basement, sorry, over towards the east side. And that is where J90 will strike. And hopefully, fingers crossed with SSG, take out a couple of players.
Ashen just being held back by the Toxic Babe canister at the minute, suggesting W7m know exactly where this push is mounting up from. It's not too much of a surprise. We get a lot of attention from attackers down at the bottom of main stairs. Ashen's just going to rotate as well onto the hatch, which is just above blue. Sends out a couple of EMPs. I think that's a little bit of a decoy there, just to try and get a bit of attention in that opposite direction as he moves back to the bar hatch, ready to drop into Moto potentially. Fultz is going to open church wall. Just concerned about explosives over the top, but it should be the headshots they're worrying about. As Nade, he picks up 2. Hurge joins the party as well, and Ashen finds himself all alone. The explosive finishes off the round. W7m go 5-2.
Great read from Nade as well, just realizing again that off the back of utility or certain things happening around him, that there was going to be a push of some kind coming through. Either they've read that the pillar plant was the intended action there for SSG and has just swung at the perfect time to catch them, or again, there was some kind of trigger. Either way, W7m have read SSG's game plan like a book there and taken a very convincing first round down in the basement. Let's not forget, W7m won that downstairs attack a couple of times. Like, even in the third time, they absolutely crush SSG, whereas in the first attack there, SSG have been completely shut out. 4 players left alive for W7m. Complete and a different story to what we saw in those first 6 rounds.
Going to be heading into round 8 then. W7m. Sorry, I called it as 5-2. It's actually 4-3. I've mistakenly written down 4-2 at the half, but it was 3-3. So SSG, I know, can you imagine? Rookie mistake. SSG still plenty in this. They're going to be attacking onto CCTV this time around. It's again, you know, it comes back, and this is why I asked the question. You're going up against a team, and it must be so taxing. You know, Herds is just going to step out, headshot, and within a breath, you know, you're 2 men down and the round starts to swing. So W7m giving themselves a little bit of an advantage on the defense there, but this time going to be taking CCTV as the next site. SSG, I'm interested to see, you know, do they just go for the straight CCTV open and push, or is there going to be some attention onto construction side as well?
Onwards we step then. Let's see how this one plays forward. Just to begin with, looking out for any potential C4s lurking underneath, any Valk cams that might be scattered around. Well, I'll say Valk cams, Valk's banned away. So can't find any of those, I'm afraid, out on cold. But would have been searching skywards to find whatever else that he might have dangling underneath in case any drops into logistics hatch came a little bit later on. Ashen, inside the bar, has already got himself in pretty quickly and comfortably, and Herds has been caught completely unawares 40 seconds into the round.
He's just setting himself
Sorry, just saw that drone behind him and ignored it. There is a drone on him inside of gym, so they know that he's there is now the only concern.
Yeah, certainly needs to be aware of that. I don't think he's seen this. Nope. Taking pot shots at... No, he's just going to be attacked from the window, trying to play in behind the Kiva barricade, but KZ seems to just be unaware of that drone in behind him, holding on for the time being, gets himself into bathroom. Philippok's just trying to push down these stairs, gets an absolute freebie onto Ashen there, who's sat drawn in 4 versus 4, and W7m holding on to this entire top floor at the minute, not just the site.
That's the worst thing, where Ashen's moved forward with a nade and said, yeah, that nade will give me a bit of room to get on drone and see where this guy is. Am I being pushed? Am I not? By the time he probably actually loads up the drone is when he's being swung and he's guaranteed dead. So really good response there by W7m to keep things at 4 and 4.
Hot and Cold just using those angles opened up in the garage wall. We're hoping for a rotate on Catwalk, hoping for any sort of movement, but as you can see, W7m, it looks a little bit like hands are off keyboards at the minute. We're comfortable with where we are. We've got a minute left to go, so we're just going to wait this one out. There is one on blue stairs at the minute. JV92 on Catwalk does manage to pick up Hot and Cold, who was watching for that angle, but gets hit in reverse. Fultz just trying to open up that CCTV wall a little bit more, but with 50 seconds left to go, SSG not really established inside of the map anywhere. They don't have too much control. Forest is sort of lurking around on the bottom floor, looking to get up into garage, I think, to support the attack, but there you go. He's just trying to deal with the mirror. He has to win this fight and does. 3 versus 3, 30 seconds though. Time is going to be the problem.
So hard to play against that Vector at close range, highest rate defender gun in the game. It's just horrific to face off against, but he gets it done. 3 versus 3, Tim. At this point, 20 seconds on the clock. They've really got to get a shifty on. They're barely even looking inside a garage at the moment, and JV92 is still sat up on high. He's still got goo mines to play behind. They're going to run out of the clock here, Tim.
Nano gets up, gets one kill and an important one at that, taking control of garage. KZ manages to get the trade, but here comes Forest on into sight. It's going to be a 1v1 between him and KZ. 3 seconds left to go. KZ has the run and manages to find the shot, takes down Forest, and that is W7m now going 5-3 and looking comfortable on defense.
And a couple of clutches along the way, Tim. You know, KZ there in that 1 versus 2, JV92 earlier on. Without those, this could have been a 5-3 to SSG. It could have been a 4-4, somewhere split down the middle. It's just one of those games where it's quite neck and neck between the two and hard to see which way it's going to fall. Gym, bedroom, going to be the next site we head into, will be that 3rd site before I imagine we go through the same 3-site rotation. If W7m win this round, do anticipate we'll see a tack timeout coming in for SSG. I say it all the time, if a team goes down 0-3 at the start of a half, chances are they'll take that pause just to reset momentum, look back over those last 3 sites they've played, knowing they're going to play all 3 of them again, and just try and get things amended so they don't have another 0-3 coming into the following 3 rounds.
5 seconds left.
So well played by Casey here as well. Just
it was
cool, calm, collected, a step back, step in.
Yeah, nice and sort of gentle, not too aggressive, keeping his cover, just waiting for Forest to make the move, really. And I think given the time on the clock, I don't know, maybe KZ has a little check of the clock, sees that there's only a couple of seconds. He knows that Forest doesn't really have time to circle all the way around those shelves, so there's only one side that he needs to concern himself with. Pre-fires it and ends the round pretty well. W7m 5-3 up then, and going pretty well on defense. SSG yet to find a round, and you feel like this is the one that they really need.
Early EE1D in case there are any cheap small peaks coming out or jump outs or anything else. The madness that we saw from, I think it was Ashen back in the first half, running out of strip, for example, and finding one for himself. Just trying to counter exactly the same. Seeing the Lion more and more, to be fair, I think with the KB being banned away so much, you're just going to see Lion be quite a staple for a lot of attacking lineups, just so they have something on side to help out with shutting down their own game, given how slippery some teams can be, especially with a Solis now currently in the meta, obviously not being played too much in this game, but I think for most teams, Solis has been, as I say, a staple.
Forest is just getting that drawn across the mid-floor. Plenty of information flying into them. It's going to be a bedroom attack this time. A lot of utility that they'll have to play for if they want to work their way up those main stairs. They've got barbed wire and other elements to come across. Hot and Cold on the knock is going to be looking potentially then to get up red stairs, but there's a clash that he's going to come face to face with. Nade in hand ready though. Going to send it up to the top. The stairs does a lot of damage to Nade, but not enough. Nade's back was turned for a fraction of a second, but he just managed to get it facing the right way.
Oh no! It's not the first time we've seen that this tournament, to be fair. A couple of players have whipped it with the nades and ended up downing themselves off the back of it. At the very least, he didn't kill himself, though. Tim was able to get res back up by Forest on the Finker.
Fultz is making some good progress. Going to get inside a cache here. It suggests, I'm just having a look how many drones they've got left. They've got 6 drones left, but just the movement there from SSG suggesting they don't know exactly what's ahead of them. They're not confident that cache was clear, just going in and having to face check it at the same time, but all's well that ends well.
Cheeky.
Ooh, trying that vertical angle. Do manage to pop the mirror out so they won't get overly aggressive on there. Nitro does get shot out as Herds tries to put it out of the window. Now then, Herds is in a bad position here. J9 was going to take full advantage and finds a beautiful shot. SSG saying, you might have some shots, but guess what? We've plenty stacked up too. And that leaves them now 5 versus 3 and looking good in round 9.
Very precarious, as he was really one of their main lines of defense there, looking out towards the west. With that now gone, they're going to have to pull the clash back in, as you're seeing, from construction side back in towards site. Just got to tighten everything up. So, yeah, Herds again, damned if you do, damned if you don't. He really had to try and play that challenge, but he was massively disadvantaged. No mirror window, holes in the floor below him, a player outside and Jacuzzi to challenge at the same time. Just so much for him to try and take on there. SSG still running around with this one, but they have got 3 players that have taken a fair chunk of damage in the round, and here comes the plant attempt.
Yeah, Fulce is going to try and stick this. He has to come off it as his cover dies, and he is going to be taken down as well. That puts the diffuser down in the middle of sight. Not ideal, and as they try to come in through the windows, they're going to get taken down, but J9O makes a real attempt of it. Gets a 1v3, I think it was, back to a 1v1, but is unable to close it out at the final battle.
It's just one of those again where I think it's a difficult situation with another, I won't say a clutch, it was a 1v1 being won out here by W7m, but it is another one of those situations, unfortunately. We have got Fresh here again, and during a timeout, we have a good chat with him, Tim, as we've got a good couple of minutes or so. Hello, Mr. Fresh.
Hi, boys. Just checking you can hear me this time.
Well, I can indeed hear you, my man.
All good.
Look, mate, I want to ask you about, first and foremost, I'll ask you a question. It's like you're a coach now.
Oh.
I want to pose you a question, because W7m we saw moving at extreme pace in the first half. SSG just don't really seem to have that same bite.
Yeah, this was the point I was going to bring up. So sometimes you've got a team where it's quite stylistically, they want to play a little bit gung-ho, they want to get fast, they want to get in the faces of their opponent, and that's what SSG like to do. But the map sometimes doesn't allow for it, and that's what Clubhouse is like. So I think that's why SSG, are really costing themselves in these attack rounds, because that's 3 attack rounds lost now, is because it has come down to so late on time, particularly that CCTV attack, where 2 guys are walking in garage, both getting hit by a goo mine with, 15 seconds left, and you're forced basically to just carry on pushing through the goo mine, and eventually, obviously he got downed on the garage stairs. So I want to see them really try and take some more risks and increase that tempo in their attack.
Anything from you, Tim Tam?
I don't think so. He's covered it extremely well there.
Can I just say, Fresh,
the man's a professional.
Your outfit today.
Ah, thank you. I saw what Laxon was wearing and I had to kind of match it. He's got a black jacket and a grey t-shirt, so I've got a black t-shirt and a grey jacket.
Not too bad, mate. I guess really the good question then, you spoke a little bit around the kind of timing piece there.
Yeah.
We're going into a basement site for this potential last round. What do you really want to see SSG get right in the first 60 seconds?
I think in terms of, you've got to win, each part of the round,
I was
right?
about to say, yeah, they've got to win, Fresh, yeah.
Yeah, no, obviously they've got to win, but they've got to win each phase of the round. So I think it starts off with those drones. Make sure you can, even if you're just putting drones in zones that you can clear from prep phase, have somebody just holding them, clear the top floor, clear the mid floor, whatever it is. Try and get that information, try and get good information at the start of the prep phase, and then play off that. Because if you can remove some of the times, SSG would have won some of these rounds if they had 30 more seconds. It's just that they didn't. So the early round's got to be really, really hot, and that relies basically all on their drone work.
Well, let's see if they can do it. Fresh, thank you very much, Mr. Professor. We'll catch you a bit later on, mate.
See you soon.
There we go, the fadeaway. See you soon.
Yep. 3-pointer.
It's all about that drone work. Let's see how they get on then, Tim, with the start of the round.
30 seconds in then. We haven't got SSG inside of the building just yet. So as we would expect, the droning is continuing. We've got Forest is now Forest is going to be joined by Fulce and J9O still on the drone work. KZ nearly loses his life there. Hot and Cold certainly coming away the better to begin with at least, but takes a few bullets of damage just as he's trying to escape from that and keep himself alive to fight into the later round. Out comes the nade, going to send that one down towards main stairs. Won't get any joy with it though, as KZ is long gone.
I'm not sure who it was on main stairs, probably for Leapox. I imagine just up an extra layer on these main stairs, who was in a good spot to swing there and to support the castle and taking that firefight. Could have been an easy 2v1, but I think actually it was a good read by Hot and Cold to just get out of there, not carry on that firefight and extend it any further. Just opted to rotate out as we've seen now. May have to try and work his way back in though, as really his task is control of main stairs.
Fulce just working his way across that top floor. W7m really looking to defend the entire map to begin with, but have got themselves back, and there's just sort of a lot of almost sort of phantom pressure then because of that presence out in the map. SSG feel a need to get it cleared out completely, and as Fresh said, they like to play aggressive, like to play in the faces, and this is just going to burn a lot of that time that SSG have, and it's potentially going to deny them that opportunity when they do get onto the attack at the end.
Well, slowly working their way down here in a spot. I was going to say looking okay so far as they were starting to work on hatches, but it has been that little bit slower. And they've also lost out on the entry with Hot and Cold being the one to fall away. And they've got the re-electrification come on through. Hatch stays closed. It's a couple more kills coming in for W7m. And it looks like actually, Tim, Clubhouse is going to remain a fortress for the Brazilians.
Almost certainly. JV92, he's been fantastic so far. 10 and 6 on the game. Has hit some absolute beauties and continues to do so on main stage. J90 has had a game himself, to be fair, 11 and 8. He's going to move down and try to rescue SSG's hopes here as he moves in through blue. The Pox arm gives him away, but I tell you what, doesn't matter if you get given away, if you're going to hit headshots like that. Hertz gets taken down, but Felipox once again there for the trade, and that's something W7m have done so well through this game, is keep on top of the trades, and they are going to find that final kill onto Kitchen, cut themselves up a win, and W7m go on to 1-1 here in the Swiss.
Drone game may have been alright at the start of that round, as Fresh was talking about, but when it came round to the firefights, W7m, well, they brought a whole arsenal to this party. Now with them moving forward, up and getting another one for SSG. They start looking a bit precarious, Tim.
They do. Of course, you know, the way we look at Swiss is you've got 3 lives, 3 losses, and you will be out. So SSG now 0 and 2. They are going to be looking at a tough decider match tomorrow.
They will. And we'll find out, of course, who they play against a bit later on today once all the games are concluded, because Swiss is all based on seeding. But obviously, I think we know at this point that we're starting to see the clear separation. The teams all falling into these brackets of being 2 and 0, 1 and 1, obviously 0 and 2 in some of these cases as well. So in case you are wondering, tomorrow we do get the best of 3s underway to see who starts going home, Tim.
Yeah, that's it. Decisions start getting made from tomorrow onwards. We'll have the answers to at least some of the questions, not all of them. But W7m, for the time being, they keep themselves fighting for one of those Phase 3 spots. They've got themselves now 1 loss, 1 win. And I've got to say, W7m look much better than they did yesterday. Really comfortable, really confident. As I say, I'd love to go back through and see how many of their kills were headshots in that match, because they were just hitting them left, right and centre. Very difficult to play against today.
More of the old school ferocity I felt on the attacking side. The kind of like ruthless efficiency is probably the best way I can describe how they used to play some maps, is they'd just be so good at getting control of the map and focusing around the execute and, most critically, winning those gunfights. Anyway, okay, we're about to go to death, but we aren't just yet. An interview will be ready with Felipox in just a couple of minutes, so we can look forward to that one. But again, for me, it's seeing them warming back into it. Things are looking good, Tim.
Yeah, I think those 1-on-1 teams who play each other tomorrow, we're going to have some really great matchups come that point. You know, there is some big names in there. You've got, BDS now 1-on-1, W7m 1-on-1. There's some really big names falling into that mid group, and I can't wait for the draw later on, because I think there's going to be some real classics tomorrow.
You're calling W7m and BDS mid, Tim?
The results are calling them mid-des, not me. They're 1-on-1.
You're the one describing it that way, Tim. Anyway, let's get over to the desk where there's an interview awaiting with Felipox.
W7m victorious. Congratulations, Felipox. Man, tell me, are you relieved? Are you excited? I'm sure coming off of the loss and then getting this victory.
Yeah, we are very relieved. Like yesterday was not our day. Like we didn't play like we play. We are making a lot of mistakes. So today we played the same map, and because we knew we had a good map. So yeah, we're happy.
Do you feel like you're a little bit more nervous coming into today? And lots of passion. Like JV was hooting and hollering the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. We talked, and we saw that yesterday we were too passive, not playing our game. So we talked today and said that we were going to scream and shout and do everything, and to play like we play, like smiling and everything. So yeah, today we could play our game.
So the last time I spoke to you was in Copenhagen after you've won, and you won the major. You said at that point in time that you knew that you would have a target on your backs, and that everybody would want to beat W7m, and that you had to work as hard as you've ever worked. How's that gone? And are you expecting, big things from this major?
Yeah, like I said before, it's very hard when you win, because you have a target on your back. Everyone knows how you play. Everyone wants to copy you, want to see how your team plays. And this season we worked as hard as last season, maybe even more. But it's really hard. And I think we are in a good shape this tournament. Like I think, like I said yesterday, we wasn't ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think today we had a good game.
And is that the reason that you went back to the same map? Because you lost Clubhouse yesterday, but then you went and chose it again today?
Yeah, we knew we had a good map, and we didn't play like ourselves. Like,
right, okay.
We didn't do anything right yesterday. Like, GK played really well too, and they surprised ourselves like with their play style. So today we could play better.
Okay, so looking back at this game and yesterday, what were the big takeaways? You were like, this needs to change.
Like I said, the scream and shouting, like we were too passive yesterday. Like I think we came into the game like with high heels, like thinking we will win easily because it was a good map for us. And so today we came to win, like to do everything to win.
Did you tweak anything in your pre-game preparation?
Yeah, we changed a little things, but not so much. But mainly like ourselves, like our how can I say?
Mentality?
Yeah,
maybe?
mentality. Yeah, mentality. Yeah.
Okay, well, Folly Pox, thank you so much for that fantastic interview. Great speaking with you, and congratulations again on that victory.
Thank you very much.
Oh man, I can only imagine the enthusiasm that they're feeling right now. Fresh, we've been talking a lot about W7m, and that was a jarring loss, certainly, but to get that win, I'm sure they're feeling fantastic.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm going to be saying it a lot about the teams that went 0-1 yesterday, but managed to get a win today. The result is so much more important than the performance. I thought the result, obviously, a win is great, but the performance also for W7m. They've clearly turned around. They've backed themselves up on the same map, and they've won on it again. So it's a big confidence boost as well as getting the result, and that kudos to them.
It was interesting when we were chatting earlier. You were telling me both these teams are playing really well.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of mistakes. They were just being very proactive.
Yeah, I generally thought that was a very high quality map of Clubhouse. I think SSG can take positives away despite the fact that they've lost, and they're going to have to really buck it up because they're facing elimination. But both teams managed to fix some of their mistakes coming in from yesterday. I would say W7m much more, and they looked like the champions.
Okay, well, we're going to hand it over to Laxine. He's going to be breaking down a W7m round. Can't wait to hear it. Hey, Laxine.
Hello. All right, guys. So I'm brand new to this, so bear with me, all right? Just follow me along. I'm not a savant like Jesse. I'm not a savant like everyone else that has been doing this. So I want to talk about this round in specific. So the beginning of this round is the SSG W7m 3-4 round playing Garage. They're good. So in this round specifically, something that I noticed is Forrest is playing below here. And when you look here, he still has a lot of the util left over with the smoke grenades. And how I see this, that he could have possibly played with his team here, is if he then takes Fult's spot, he can possibly smoke off that rotate hole, well, that drone hole that typically is right here. Obviously, you can't see it. Bad POV on my end trying to grab something. But he could smoke this off that essentially blocks off, he could essentially just block off that line of sight and make it more of a 2v2 or a 2v1 over here on this side of the map, depending whether or not KZ continues to play that. But as you'll see here, SSG actually, as we go forward, SSG makes the heads-up call here of deciding, okay, we need to make something happen here. You see these two players here of J9 and Fultz making the decision to try to force this guy out of Garage. This is a power position for JV, and something that you will see in this round particularly is you will see the heads-up play from Nade. Oh, my fault. Again, you'll see the heads-up play from Nade. I don't know whether this was communicated or not from JV, but as you'll see going on here, JV actually, I'm assuming, makes the call to him to then throw out a smoke grenade all the way to this staircase to block off all of SSG's push, to deny as much time to help JV as much as possible. So take a look at this. I thought it was beautiful here. So they get the call. They're hesitating here because this is a tough angle to be versing against. Anyone that knows this, it's tough. You get the heads-up play from Nade here, throws the smoke. Personally, I would have much rather had JV play a lot safer in this situation, whether he's laying prone here, delaying as much time as possible, making J90 go through all those ticks of smoke damage. But regardless, that huge heads-up smoke play from Nade and JV working together works beautifully here, as you'll continue to see. J90 grabs a kill, gets down from KZ, or I believe from that smoke. KZ takes his power position. Here you see Forrest coming from the flank. This is, again, where I was saying I would have much rather had Forrest out here on the breach, because that ultimately, if Forrest, let's say, for example, Forrest is here, right? He then cuts off this entire angle instead of where he is now. KZ can no longer cross. Then that sets up Fultz for a good position here to possibly get the bomb down, to possibly make the round work in their favor. But again, Force is on the other side going for a flank, which does work out well. He does end up grabbing this pick, making it a 2v1, but this is where KZ plays this beautifully, and as you'll see, he takes this 1v1 engagement on Garage, which is so imperative on that Raptor, gets that. Wouldn't say he has to peek Force here, but he does peek him, ends up getting the kill, securing the round, and that alone is what I loved mostly about that round specifically, is the teamwork that W7m was working, especially in that Garage round, of throwing that smoke across, stopping J90 and them, trying to get that Garage push, KZ taking the power position behind that bomb, ending the guy in Garage, and then killing Forrest as he came to push him from Cash. That's all from me. I hope you guys appreciate the work that I just tried to do and stumbled and messed up, but there's a lot more games. Sending you to this break.